Alright guys, we are back for another video here on Pure Panorama. You didn't really think I would leave you hanging like that at the end of the last video, did ya? Of course not. Right now, let's show you the goods. So what we got in yesterday from Diesel Auto Power are indeed a set of injectors. These are the 7 by .0095 125 horsepower SAC style aftermarket body injectors. They come complete with the new copper washers on the ends here. Let's go ahead and pull one out so you can see it more close up. So as you can see right there, they have brand new copper washers on the ends. So you can see here on the body, they do say 24V 7 by .0095 125 horsepower. So there you have it. That's the big reveal, the big surprise that I held out on you with at the end of the last video. We do have a set of brand new 6 aftermarket 125 horse injectors. Now they also include in their injector kit 6 new O-rings for your connector tubes. As you can see right here, we have those, and what they call an injector connector tube puller kit, fuel line puller kit, injector puller, when really all it is a nut. So this is not much of a injector puller or a connector tube puller. Yes, the thread size matches up to it, but I don't see how this is really going to be all that helpful. It's nice of them. It's the thought that counts. Yeah, I understand. They do send you something, but let's be real. This is not ideal for pulling out your connector tubes, and definitely will not pull out your injectors, although you can use a bolt from your valve cover or your intake horn to get your injectors out. But what I went ahead and did for this project was I went and ordered an injector puller right here and a connector tube removal tool, and I got this stuff right off of Amazon. I think it was like $42. I will leave a link to this stuff in the description, as well as a link to the injectors in the description to Diesel Auto Power's site. One more thing, what's nice about this injector puller tool that I bought off of Amazon compared to like the torque tool kit, the torque tool comes with just the puller and the connector tube removal tool as well. But the kit that I got is from a company called OTC. A lot of you guys who work on your own stuff are probably familiar with OTC brand tools. You can find them in a lot of your local parts stores. But they did also send a nice little sheet here in many different languages, but it does tell you the procedure of how to pull out the injectors and the connector tubes and how to use the tools. So that's pretty cool about this company and the kit that I got as far as the tool to get out our injectors and connector tubes. Now let's dive into this project and get going. So first up, we do need a deep well 11mm to pull off our boot for our intercooler here. So we're gonna go ahead and get that off right now. And then we need 10mm socket to remove the oil dipstick, the 4 bolts holding on our intake horn and our grid heater with the ground for the grid heater as well. All this stuff we're just going to swing over to the side. I think we need a 13 or 14mm to pop off our APPS, basically our throttle position sensor. That is also going to just swing over here. We'll set that up off in the corner here. And then we can get into removing our valve cover here with these 5 10mm bolts that hold that on. And then we need a 19mm or 3/4 inch wrench to pop our injector lines off from our connector tubes up here along the top of the engine, and also off the bottom down here below the accelerator position sensor. We need to remove them from the back of the injection pump as well. Once those are disconnected from up here at the top of the engine and the back of the injection pump, there are 4 little bolts that hold down the injector lines. Once I get this stuff out of the way, I'll show you what I'm talking about, but we need to remove those as well, and those are also a 10mm socket to do so. And you only want to remove these 4 hold downs. You do not want to undo anything that has a blue the color blue on it, because that will separate all your lines, and you want to keep these together into 2 groups so that you don't have to worry about trying to piece them back together and put them back how they came off the truck. So let me get this stuff out of the way and we will get into showing you where these hold downs are for the injector lines themselves. So now we're going to go ahead and break these little hold downs free so that we can break these all loose on the top of the engine here. Here's one hold down, there's two here in the middle, and then there's one right back there. So as you can see right there, we got the injector lines out. The fuel lines are gone from the truck, and I did it a little bit differently because it is a pain in the ass. If anybody's done this, feel free to drop it down in the comment section below how you get in to get them all out and get them all disconnected with the other lines in the way. What are your tips, secrets, tricks, all that shit? I want to know, because that was a pain in the butt. And what I ended up doing, and I know they tell you not to do this, but instead of removing this little mount right here that is for this wiring harness and other things attached to the back of the engine there, I simply just undid the blue colored tie down here, which they tell you not to undo those, but that's just one and it only holds two lines, the number 5 and 6 line. So I undid that so that those ones would come out, and to get these front lines out here, I undid 2 of them as well. I'll show you. So these were all the back lines right here, and in order to get those last ones undone from the injection pump, I had to get these lines out of the way. So I removed those two. I removed these 2 hold downs right here that hold all the lines together, only because this is the line right here that goes to number 1. So you put that in its place, and that hold down is very self-explanatory as to where it goes. It can only go in one spot, and then these ones will set right back in over it. So basically, I'll install these ones first and get those couple attached to the injection pump, and then I will attach this number 1 line right here, get that one tightened down. I'll put these 2 back in last and get those all tightened down, and then I'll add those 2 blue hold downs back to this group. That was the easiest and quickest way that I found, because I could not get a wrench down in there to get these freaking things out. So now we can go ahead, put our injector puller and connector tube puller to use and start getting these damn things out of here. So we have to remove these injector hold downs. There's one over every injector. 8mm bolt, I think it is. All we need to do is remove this one out here on the very outside, because they just literally slide right out. We may have to loosen those ones up a little bit, but I'm not sure. They should slide out. If we do have to loosen those up, we're going to have to take off our exhaust rockers, and if we do that, you want to make sure that you line these things up, A, in a clean spot, and B, line them up in order in which you take them off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or just do one at a time, put it back. Do the second one, put it back. Third, put it back together, so that you keep everything where it goes, because these have been running in the same spot for so long. They are more or less mated with the engine, and we want to keep things as good and compatible with one another as we can. And looking at this thing, it's making me want to also order head studs and just keep slowly doing some power mods. So I'm going to show you right here on this first injector, on the first crossover tube, we have our tool right here, which just threads in here onto the tube, and then you should just have to give it a good tug and it just pops out of there. You can get a screwdriver or a little pry bar down there probably with the way this tool is designed, and also probably pry on it just to help pop it loose. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this thing down, install one of our new green O-rings from Diesel Auto Power onto it, get it ready to put back in. Then I'm going to pop this first injector out, stick my first one in there, get this one put back together, and move right on down the line, and we're going to start putting this thing back together. So I'm gonna put you guys on time-lapse mode and let's get this work done so I can get this truck put back together. So I quick wanna give you a close-up of this injector and the nozzle on it. You see again the new copper washer, but if you get a look at that nozzle, that is what a SAC style injector looks like. Real quick before the time-lapse, we do have our new O-ring on this connector tube. So what we do now is we grab a little oil out of the top of the engine, we coat it around this O-ring, and we do the same with the O-ring on the actual injector. So this O-ring here you see on the injector, we coat that one with oil too, and then I'm going to take a little Vaseline and I'm going to pull this washer down off of here, stick a small, just a slight coating on there. You don't want a whole heaping gob of it, but just enough to make it tacky so that this washer will stay on here and in place. And then we go and stick this down in the hole. And when we stick this in the hole, we want to make sure that that hole right there is lined up with where this connector tube is going to come through. So you want to make sure that it's facing towards that connector tube so that when you pop the connector tube in, the tip of the connector tube will rest in there. And when you get them down in there, you should hear the injector pop and you should hear the connector tube pop. So we got our injector puller down in there. Just like that, guys. There it is.
It's leaking.
Which one was it?
The front one.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. There you guys have it. We got the 125 horsepower injectors installed in the truck. We got it all primed. It's put back together and she's running. That actually was less painful than I thought it was, but did you see the smoke that came out? It looked a little bit light, and that's my sign and the sign to you guys that the VP44 definitely is going to have to get replaced here very soon. So that is next on the list, and I can tell you this, I am not looking forward to having to pull this damn thing apart again and try to fight with those fuel lines, because that really sucked. But I think I have it down now, and I found a method to doing it. And if you guys haven't done it before, like I said, where I took off those two blue little clips that hold the lines together, I think they held line 2 and 4 to line 1. If you take off just those two, then you will be able to pull those off and you won't get confused. Everything will go right back into place and you can just clip them back on there afterwards, but it makes it so much easier to get the rest of the lines disconnected from the VP44 down there. So that's how I'm gonna do it from now on. That's how I'm gonna do it the next time I have to take them off when we do the VP44, which will be coming soon. So make sure that you are subscribing to the channel if you're stopping in for the first time, and you can watch me struggle and fight with the VP44, my first time ever changing one. It's gonna be pretty comical nonetheless, so you won't want to miss that. Slap a like on this video for the new injectors installed in the 2001 24 valve Cummins that is right here running behind me, sounding pretty decent. We are going to take her for a little rip down the road. I do need to get this stove out of the back of it and do something with that before work tomorrow. I will see you guys in the next video with some more updates, and we will also go over how I discovered that we need to change the VP44 on my 2001 24 valve Cummins. See ya!